Welcome to the Time to Fly podcast. It's time to give your business wings and take flight to achieve more impact, influence, and income with unique perspectives, tools, and tips from successful entrepreneurs and business professionals to help your business fly. Here to educate, encourage, and entertain you with their own unique perspectives and experience, plus sharing anecdotes of growing up as cowgirls. Here's your host, Jill Fleming.
Hello, and welcome to the Time to Fly podcast. I'm your host, Jill Fleming, and today I am here with Kalani Vale. Kalani is an award-winning author, motivational speaker, and his motto is, "Success is just another form of failure if you lose yourself and your family along the way." Kalani's diverse background uniquely positions him to reach a broad audience. As the founder and CEO of Team 212 Inc., he empowers fathers and families to live an extra degree for God, family, and business. Kalani immigrated to the United States at the age of 2. By the time he was 6, he had been recruited into the infamous gang, the Chicago Dragons. His amazing journey includes escaping gang life, becoming a top-producing commercial real estate agent, and buying his first shopping center. Within a few years, he became the #1 corporate trainer for Anthony Robbins, speaking on peak performance and success. His clients include American Express, Colonial Insurance, Smith Barney, Remax Real Estate, Century 21, and BMW. Kalani is a financial coach with over 300 clients and over 100 million under management. Kalani is a single father to 2 15-year-old super twins. Thank you for being with me here today, Kalani.
Hello, Jill. I'm so glad to be here. I'm humbled that I'm here today.
I wanted to bring you on as one of our first guests because not many people know that I have a financial background, that I have a degree in business and finance. I got a job working for Fortune 500, working for Berkshire Hathaway.
Wow.
And I have a realization of how important the financial side of life is. And I love the message that you bring because me being in corporate America, being a female in corporate America, I observed how many men would overwork themselves to death at their job and ended up losing their families.
Totally.
And I know that that is a huge project for you and what you're all about. So tell me a little bit about your journey, how you got there, and why that's such an important message.
My life has definitely been amazing. I've learned a lot from my mistakes, and investing in the market is a lot like investing in life. You know, you invest in different companies because you want to be financially secure, but all too often we forget about our health, we forget about our family, we forget about our kids, and we forget about what we really want to do in life. Because yes, we may make a lot of money in something, but it is really our passion. And so just like investing in a mutual fund, you actually have your own personal life funds that you need to invest in every week, every day to make sure not only are you financially wealthy, but are you emotionally wealthy, your heart is healthy, your family is healthy, and your spouse is healthy. And most of all, wouldn't it be great to actually be making tons of money at what you were called to do? I call it the PPC, your purpose, passion, and calling. Yes, you can make money, but is it with your purpose, passion, and calling?
So tell me a little bit about your background. You said you've learned a lot from your mistakes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So you said that you were in a gang.
That was actually a learning experience because in Chicago, it was interesting. And the gang that I actually was recruited in was called the Chicago Dragons. It actually was a Puerto Rican gang. Okay. Here I am. I'm Asian, but I'm also Spanish. But our neighborhood gang was called the Chicago Dragons. It was a Puerto Rican gang. The leader of our gang, George, lived right next door to me, actually. And so the things I learned back then, it's so kind of cool because back in Chicago, we had all different types of nationalities in our gang. We had black, we had Polish in our gang. We all got along though. It was really awesome. And it was a melting pot. And I never felt different in Chicago. It was really, really weird. And we were very poor. We lived in a basement in a duplex right next, the housing projects were about 6, 7 duplexes away. And so this is where you had to really be in a gang just to survive, to make sure that you were protected in case somebody else wanted to, so-called get you. And so the things I learned leadership, believe it or not. Yeah. Cause there was a leader we followed and whatever he said, we did. Yeah. And most of the time it was not good, but we did it. But that was leadership, right? And so that's one thing I learned at a very young age was leadership.
And so how did you pull yourself out of that I imagine you went to college.
Yes.
How did you pull yourself out of that lifestyle to make different choices?
I always believe in life, when life tries to tear you down, that is the very thing that, God uses to actually transform you. I'm the youngest of 4 kids. My brother, Ray, was very, very sick. Growing up, he was always in the hospital. I remember growing up. I never really saw him growing up. He's literally in the hospital for months at a time. One time, we almost lost him at a very young age. He actually had water in his heart. We didn't think he was going to survive. The doctor told my parents that, I think, because Chicago is very cold weather. Mm-hmm. And it says, I think it would be really good for your brother to move to a sunnier area. And it so happened, after the doctor said that, my mom's sister actually had moved to California. And so we had made a point, you know what, we're going to get out of here and move to California. That actually saved my life, Jill. I really believe if I would have stayed in Chicago, I believe I probably would have been the leader of the gang, right? But I was already doing things that you probably would get arrested for at that early of age. And because my brother was sick and he needed a better climate to actually rehabilitate, we ended up moving here to California to be with my aunt. We got here, and you can take the gangster out of the city, but sometimes you can't take the city out of the gangster. I started hanging around my cousins here in Long Beach who were Long Beach Crips. It was so funny. But it was one catalyst that actually happened. Once we moved here to California, I was able to get away from all my friends that were influencing me to do bad things. Sometimes when you need to get better, you need to make that cut. If you have bad friends or a bad environment, I know it's hard to get away, but sometimes you just got to. And coming here to California, I started here in 5th grade. My sister Lonnie got a job working for a gentleman named Ruben Lopez for a company called Copperpenny Real Estate. And he needed someone to deliver his flyers to his home. And he hired me to deliver 500 flyers every weekend. And it took me forever to do, Saturday and Sunday. But Jill, this was the first time I actually saw somebody that I thought looked wealthy. And he took interest in me. He actually hired me. 5th grade. Who hires a kid at 5th grade? I was making some cash. But he didn't realize he was actually my first mentor. He didn't physically mentor me, but I think being there and hiring me and seeing his Cadillac, seeing his nice suit, seeing that he was always so tan, I felt like he was going for vacation. I never saw anybody that was wealthy up until then. And that, I think, was the catalyst to all of a sudden change my ways. And I began at a very early age. And coming here from California, it's so hard. In Chicago, I didn't feel any different because we were all poor. Now, coming here to California, I knew I was poor. Mm-hmm. I didn't have things like the other kids did. And slowly, I realized today, as I got older, when I was younger, because I feel like I couldn't fit in, that started to drive me to really start having these thought processes like, you know what, if I'm wealthy, if I'm rich, I can fit in. And so moving here, because my brother was sick, my sister getting that job, working with Ruben, and then Ruben hiring me and believing in me and seeing him wealthy, started me develop that thought process in 5th and 6th grade, started developing, you know what, I want to be wealthy. And so that was the start right then and there. And so I just thank God every day that I'm here, because I know for a fact I'd be in jail or dead if I was in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing how those small changes, those small things that happen can
critical.
Make such a huge shift in our life.
Huge.
So you decided that you wanted to be wealthy.
Yes.
But you were more than likely raised with a lack mentality, a poor mentality.
Yes.
That type of mentality. What did you do to start shifting that, to start learning, to start shifting into becoming somebody who was wealthy?
I had to hand it to my mom and dad. Even though I never saw them. But one thing she kept, it would bug me, Jill. She would always say this. And so that's why for you parents out there listening to this, if you're trying to encourage your kids, it'll sink in. The reason why, let me tell you my example. My mom kept telling me, you know what, Kalani, when you get older, you have to get in real estate. You have to get in real estate. You have to get in real estate. 70% of all the millionaires are created through real estate. She kept saying that. 70% of all millionaires are created through real estate. I'm like, okay, Mom, it used to bug me, like, shut up. But guess what? Ruben Lopez was in real estate. I saw him. And then as soon as I got old enough, I actually got my real estate license because it did sink in. And by the time I was, got my real estate license when I was like 21, by the time I was 23, I was able to actually partner into my very first shopping strip center in San Diego, California. I was able to buy a strip center that had a 7-Eleven, a beer bar, a laundromat, a restaurant, in a sign company. And that was the first 23 years old. I was a partner in this 23.
Wow.
Right. And so I was very blessed. I didn't put any money in. My partner put all the money in, but I took all the risk afterwards. So that was a partnership. She put in the money. I became a partner. If it needed a new roof, I was going to take care of it. I actually was a property manager at the time. I took care of every little detail after that. And two things that really catapulted me to actually learning about investing in real estate. At that time, the 7-Eleven, one of our tenants, was actually in bankruptcy. 7-Eleven was owned by a company called Southland Corporation. When we bought it, they were in actually reorganization of their debt. And this is the first time I actually got to see what bankruptcy was up front. And I know it's not a bad thing. And it came into my life later, seeing that at an early age, because when they actually came out of bankruptcy, 7-Eleven was a lot stronger. They actually just did it to reorganize their debt. And here's the coolest thing. Once that was taken care of, our 7-Eleven was actually on what we call a percentage lease. So whatever they did in sales, we got 2% of their sales. And so I started learning all these leases. And so that alone would give us an extra $20,000, $30,000 a year on their gross. And I was like, wow, then I realized this residual income is awesome. For one-time effort, you get paid multiple times. That is amazing. Ever since then, I haven't really had a job. I've always been an entrepreneur because I just believe, once again, I just felt like if I could be wealthy, I could fit in. And that, at an early age, that was the driving force. And I was so blessed to have just the right mentors, like you, Jill, you're mentoring me. You give me some really good clues on how to actually get my life to the next level. And so if whoever's listening to this, I highly recommend that you talk to Jill about her coaching program. She's absolutely amazing. And at an early age, I was able to get mentors in my life to help me, put me on track and show me how to buy a shopping center, how to invest in it. And that guy, Ruben Lopez, was probably my first mentor when I was in 5th grade. The guy that got me in commercial real estate was a guy named Max Kamakani. And when I was 23, he let me work at his firm. He believed in me. Once again, if someone believes in you, you go through the roof. Max was already 50 years old at the time, multimillionaire in commercial real estate. He took interest in me and mentored me and showed me how to do leases, how to buy shopping centers, how to buy apartment buildings, and the rest is history.
Wow, that's an amazing start, Kalani. I just can't imagine going from being in a gang to changing states and just being inspired by those around you to really change your life. So with that, I'm going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
This episode is sponsored by Beyond Logic Coaching and Consulting with strategist, visionary, entrepreneur, and best-selling author Jill Fleming. Get your free gift at livingbeyondlogic.com.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Jill Fleming, and today we're here with Kalani Vale. Before the break, Kalani, we were talking about your transition into being poor, being in a gang, transitioned into getting into real estate, making your first real money. So oftentimes when you come from being very poor to being wealthy, you often make some poor choices.
Yes.
So tell me about how that happened.
Having success at a young age, having my shopping center and then just doing really well and start doing really well in commercial real estate, you start becoming successful and you develop what I call ego and pride. And I think once you develop ego and pride, the downfall is not too far away. I started thinking I was better than people. I started thinking that I also didn't want to hang around you if you weren't wealthy, which is so stupid. And so I had some really good friends back then, but I stopped hanging around them because why? I didn't think they could get me anywhere. You start looking at people and instead of being their friend, you start looking at, well, how could I sell them something? How could I, get something out of them? And that was a process that I had to really learn and go through because as I got more successful, I started losing my friends and I realized, success is just another form of failure if you lose your friends, yourself, and your family along the way. And that happens all too often because we don't even realize that. It's just like how to cook a frog. If you want to cook a frog, if you put him in a boiling water, that frog is just going to jump right out. But what you want to do to cook a frog, you put him in the water before it's even heated, nice and lukewarm. Then you turn the heater on. You slowly turn it up. Pretty soon, after 15 minutes, our frog is cooked. That's what happens in life sometimes. We go through life with success, little back turn, success again, and all of a sudden we realize, oh my gosh, yeah, I have all this money, but that's it. How often do we hear of somebody who has money and fame and they commit suicide? or they have a hit song and they OD on drugs. Because bottom line, the most important thing is your relationships. That's why you have to invest in your spouse, your kids, your wife. Because in the end, and when you're in the hospital on your deathbed, none of your clients are going to come see you unless you really built a relationship with them. But it's going to be your family and the relationships you built that's going to be there with you. And so I started making some choices based on pride and ego. When the real estate market turned in 1988, 89, the market just crashed back then. And I crashed with it. But I think it was a blessing, because if I kept going where I was going with more success, I think I would have been that frog that was really cooked. But I think because having become successful and losing it at an early age, it taught me how to be humble. It gave me some grace. It also realized, you know what? You really need to have really good friends to get you through it, and your family will get you through it. So that's what I learned.
So how old were you when you lost it all?
I was right around 28, 29 years old the first time I lost it all.
First time?
First time. Yep.
How many times have you lost it all?
I've lost it all twice now.
Twice?
Yes.
And you're on your third time's a charm?
No more.
No
yeah,
more.
I think the second time I definitely learned. And I learned about how to really invest in your friends the first time around. The second time was really just 10 years ago in 2008. I had graduated, instead of just selling real estate, I graduated into being a wealth advisor and started doing, with our law firm, we started doing the trusts, the wills, power attorneys, seeing how it all connects, also investing in the stock market and bonds, and seeing how also advanced planning for wealthier individuals. I started seeing how the whole picture, how you make money and also you can save money with the right strategies, but also how to protect your wealth when you pass away. And by the time I was in 2008, I had over 100 financial planners working for me. I had 3 offices. I was cranking. I was really rolling. But here's the interesting thing. I was really unhappy. I looked so good on the outside, but it was all a sham. I got to be here and tell you the truth. I'm just going to be fully transparent with you guys. I was dating a woman and I got her pregnant after 1 month, and it was shocking. And I realized they told us we're having twins. And this was back in 2002. I was just building my financial firm at the time. And I was so worried about what people were going to think about me if I left her. Because I realized at that time, she was a really good woman. I just was not in love with her, but she was carrying my twins. And in our financial firm, it was built so much on how you looked outside, because you use that. If you had a nice car, nice house, pretty little wife, people would join your firm because they want your life. And we used that image to actually build our firm. And I was very, very good at it, right? Because this is actually after Tony Robbins. So I learned how to really speak and how to train, how to motivate people. I was very good at actually selling you a dream that this could be you too. But people didn't realize I was not happy at home. Yes, the mom of my kids was a great woman, but I was not in love with her and she was in love with me. We created this image, Jill, that everything was perfect. It looked perfect from the outside. We had the $1 million house. We had multiple cars, the Porsches, the Hummers. We had all that. We had twins. We had parties at our house all the time. But I was so unhappy. I was miserable. And so that's where I realized, for some of you guys, if you listen to this, 90% of success is really being with the right person. It truly is. Not that she was a bad person. I'm sure I didn't honor her like I should have. It was just very hard to be with somebody we're not in love with. We weren't equally yoked. And so eventually when the market did shift in 2008, I was so embarrassed. Here I am, a top financial advisor. I had to file bankruptcy. Yes. And Jill, just for me to tell you that today, I was so embarrassed to tell people that. My best friends didn't even know I was filing bankruptcy. And I was so afraid because that's public record. It's very easy to find that out. But here I am. I have all these securities licenses, very successful, but I had to file bankruptcy because I overextended myself. When things are good, you're making lots of money. Yes, you know what? Your $1 million in cash could be whittled away very quickly when you have 3 office spaces, when you have a lot of expenses you got to take care of. So I learned a lot. So when the market changed, I had to file bankruptcy. I didn't tell anybody. Jill. And I was hiding it. And because I was hiding it, I didn't really go out in life and kill it like I should and really be successful because I was afraid of people finding out. But the interesting thing is, I met a gentleman named Doug Crow. He's a publisher, and he kept bugging me to write a book. And the reason why we hit it off, because he's from Chicago too. He'd been a multimillionaire and lost it all too. And he wrote a book about it. And he asked me, because Kalani, when you write your book, because I always wanted to write a book, because you have to tell your audience, you have to be really raw and be real with them and tell them that you had filed bankruptcy. And I go, I don't want to do that, Doug. No one knows right now. But Jill, when I finished the book, it's called Superhero Single Dad. When I wrote the book, I actually put that I filed bankruptcy. I had a big party in my house. 200-300 of my friends came by. I had 1,000 books already printed. They're all sold that night. And it was so interesting. I had friend after friend. They started giving it to their friends. And they loved it. It's one of those books you can actually read in a couple of days. It floats so easily. I mean, I'm very, very proud of it. But that's the first time, Jill, in my life, because my whole life was exposed in that book. For the very first time, I was living authentically because all my dirt was out there. I got to tell you, living authentically and no longer having to live to please someone else. Before that, BK, I lived my life. I had my value in your head. So I needed you to like me for me to feel good. And that's what drove me to success. Because the more I thought, the more money I had, the more stuff I had, you would like me. It doesn't give you that. It doesn't. I'm going to tell you, unfortunately, a lot of you guys got to go through it for you to get there. But that's okay. Because Jill will be here to help you through that, right? And that's where, thank God, Doug actually had me write that book and put it in there. Because today, when you live authentically, my gosh, the world will just bless you with so much abundance in terms of relationships, in terms of friends, in terms of my relationship with my twins. I'm a single dad because of that. My relationship with the mom actually split up after that crash, and we're friends today. But the relationship with my kids is amazing. When I was working, building my financial firm, there were times I would never even see them because I was working so hard. That's not life. No. For you parents out there, instead of being a provider, be a parent. I have 2 kids, Kalani Jr. and Layla. They're like a mutual fund. They're actually a fund. I had to invest in the Kalani Jr. fund every day. I had to invest in the Layla fund every day. The more I invest in them, I get a higher rate of return. And so today, they're amazing. My daughter's already an entrepreneur. She had her first business at 9. She's 15. She's already having these great ideas. She knows how to sell. She knows how to take objection because she knows how to take a no. My son, his dream is to become a professional soccer player. We've hired a professional soccer player to actually mentor and coach him. His team he's on right now is a club team. They're one of the top teams in California. I mean, that is because I'm able to take the time to invest in them and invest in their dreams now, where my parents didn't have the time because they had to work all the time. And so that's why it's so fortunate. You guys, if you're working and you're frustrated with your work, but you have your PPC calling you, your purpose, passion, and calling, if it's like bugging you every day, I'm here to tell you, go to work 9 to 5, pay your bills, but from 5 to 10, work on your dream. Invest in that dream fund. Invest in it. I mean, can you invest 2% of your time a week? 2%. If you really break it down, 2% of all the minutes in a week is only 200 minutes. Can you invest 2% of your time into your dream every week? Can you invest 2% of your time into each one of your kids? It doesn't take much to really be successful, guys. Mm-hmm. It just takes clarity and purpose. Yeah.
And invest in your spouse as well.
Yes, right? Totally invest in your spouse.
So it's interesting what you said. One of my favorite analogies that I came up with is around judgment.
Yes.
Of putting that value in other people's heads.
Yes.
Is getting really confident in who you are, being all that authentic. And if a person's not going to attend or cry at your funeral, their point of view doesn't matter.
Wow, that is really insightful, Jill. That's so true.
So we often give our power away to people whose point of view doesn't invest in us. It doesn't invest in the people around us. And so that is one of my favorite analogies when I'm really looking at where am I investing my time? Who am I investing my time with?
Yes.
It's like, okay, would this person attend or cry at my funeral?
You know what? That is a really good filter to actually see the people in your life, because all too often we see people that are draining us. And I always say that some of the biggest dream stealers in your life are your family and friends. Mm-hmm. And you're so right. If they're not going to be there at that critical time in your life, you know, their opinion doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. So true. But we let them control our life.
Yes.
Yes. I guess if you're listening to this, how many times have you listened to someone kill your dream?
Yep.
Yes.
And everyone has a point of view. Everyone. Yeah. I was just at an event with Jack Canfield recently.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Awesome.
And I love the analogy he gave. He's like, we often want to see the entire path before we start.
That's right.
But if you can see the entire path, it's not your path.
Wow, that's so true.
It's kind of like driving at night. You have your headlights give you about 300 feet to know where you're going. And so you drive those 300 feet and the next 300 feet are revealed.
That's right.
And you go those 300 feet and the next 300 feet are revealed.
So true.
And so I really loved that analogy because it is so true, because it's not going to be all laid out for you. You have to start. You have to take the steps and go on the journey. Because it is.
So
it's
true.
Always the journey.
The journey. And also, I want to add to that, Jill, you have to really protect the words that are spoken into your life. And analogy that I heard, I took a class called Landmark Forum, which I highly suggest. It's a self-development seminar. And one of the things I heard there were, let's pretend, Jill, you and I were actually sitting at dinner and we ordered soup. I love clam chowder. Let's say both of us ordered clam chowder. Now, you had to go to the bathroom and you excuse yourself from the table. So you're walking, and before you turn the corner to go to the bathroom, you look back at me, but you see me take a little vial of sewage water and put a drop in your soup. Now, Jill, would you eat that soup? Just one drop. It's just like one negative word. It does go into our brain, our soup brain, right? And so we have to be very, very careful because it does affect us. The good thing is once you build up your rate of vibration, your ROV, when you surround yourself with more positive things, more positive messaging, more positive friends, and you really start getting rid of the negative things, you're actually becoming more immune to it. But sometimes that person that we really care about, once again, they're not going to be at our funeral, right? We let that person speak words in our life that could destroy us.
Yes.
And so I call that EPR, encouraging, praising, recognizing. EPR is language of greatness. But unfortunately, we let a lot of people speak the language of destruction into our lives, which is called DCP, discouraging, criticizing, putting down. And so you have to ask yourself, are you letting people speak into your life, or are you letting people take things out of your life? We have to be very careful.
That's one of the things that I always encourage the people I look with is to be very, very selective on who you will receive feedback and critique from. And oftentimes, like you say, our friends and family, if they don't know what you want to do, they don't know your dream.
So true.
They often are not the best people to run your dream by.
So true.
Even though they love you so much.
So true.
There's a book called The Dream Giver. And in that book, it talks about leaving the land of familiar going out into the unfamiliar. And
you have to do that.
And you have to do that. And oftentimes, as you're leaving, you run into border bullies. So the border bullies are often those people that you know, love, and trust, trying to keep you in that land of familiar because they see you as safe there.
So true. And they want to keep you there.
And they want to keep you there because that's where they know you. That's their box of how they see you. And so oftentimes, even though they love you, they're really just trying to keep you safe, but they're not wanting you to grow. So to have your dream, to have that, you have to grow. Yes. You have to go out into that land of unfamiliar.
So true.
And start going on that journey of 300 feet at a time.
So true.
To find it. So oftentimes those people closest to you are not the best ones to share your dream with. The people to share that with and to run that by, you want to be very selective.
Very selective.
But it's people that have what you want.
Exactly.
Right? They have what you want. You appreciate how they do business. If you want the successful business, they have the successful business.
Very true.
And so you talk to people who have what you want because they're the one that have the wisdom and the knowledge that can help you get there versus shut you down.
So true, Jill. So true. Yeah, it's like I always will tell, some of my clients, never take advice from someone who's not living the life that you want to live. Because if you buy their opinions, you also buy their lifestyle. I mean, how often do people take a financial advice from people at work? They're at work too. They hate their job too. If you're going to take advice from them at work, take advice from the guy who owns the business, right? Or the consultant they hired to actually train you guys. And so you always want to make sure that person that you want to take advice from, whether it's financial, physical, emotional, that they're living the life that you want to live. You know what? It is possible. Unfortunately, you surround yourself with people that make it impossible sometimes. And it's okay. Your friends and family that they don't know, sometimes they're stealing your dream because that's what they're programmed. Because a lot of times you just gotta love them and be very careful building any bitterness or hatred towards them because that actually will stop you too. All you can do is really just pray for them and love them and move on. You give them some grace. And the cool thing about that is you will actually go to the next level. Just remember, the more success you have, you become a mirror to people who are not going for their dream. And so that's the reason why they may get a little animosity, because they actually see you. It's not that they don't like you. It's they see what they're not doing that's causing them to actually maybe be a little angry at themselves. No, it's not really you, but it might be themselves. Mm-hmm. And so this observation I've actually seen.
I actually experienced that when I went to leave my corporate job to go out on my own.
Really?
And I start my own business. I had several coworkers pull me into an office and try to intervention me.
Whoa.
And tell me that you can't do this. You can't make a living. What are you doing? But I was reflecting back to them what they wouldn't choose for themselves. Because a lot of them were miserable in their jobs.
Yeah.
And a lot of them had the dream that was calling them.
Yeah.
That they chose not to listen to.
So true.
And so I didn't know it then. I was just stubborn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At that point, I was just stubborn. I was like, this does not work for me. There has got to be a better way.
Yeah.
And now I recognize that as my journey has unfolded and I have more wisdom and knowledge on the path.
Wow.
I recognize now that it was just something that they were not willing to choose for themselves.
Yes.
And so they had to try to, it's kind of like the crab example, right? They were trying to pull me back in the bucket.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. Because they don't want you leaving the crowd. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So true. Crab mentality. Yeah. Yep. So true.
So tell me about where you're evolving to now. You are very successful in your financial practice.
Yes.
You've gotten to a point where that's running smoothly.
Yes.
And so what's your dream now?
I'm preparing. My PPC, my purpose, passion, and calling has always been motivational speaking. I love using the spoken word to help other people transform their lives into what they're supposed to be doing. Also, I'm going to be a full-time speaker and trainer. I want to help other people attain what they're supposed to be doing in life. And it's very simple to do if you really have someone coaching you. And my kids are 15. I really want to make sure I never really saw my parents growing up because they had to work all the time. So I know that actually really hurt me in terms of my self-confidence, which I had to really work on. And so I really planned it out. That's why I got in the business of investment planning and wealth planning, because it is residual. The money you invest for your clients, you actually earn a little residual on that every year. Not much, but when you have more assets, it can become really big. And so I'm at the point now where I was just telling you, I'm not going to be taking any more clients. And so I don't really need to. If you do want to work with me, I refer you to one of my agents. That's great. But my purpose now is to go out to the world and make sure that help you become successful, but also make sure that you do not lose your family and friends while you're becoming successful, and making sure you become successful at what you're called to do. So that's what I want to do full time. I love it. I'm very excited. My kids will be, like you said, in college in a couple of years. So my career in the next couple of years will probably be the point where I'll be traveling all the time, different countries, different companies. And that's what I want to do. I really want to do that. And that's what I'm called to do.
So if somebody wanted to hire you to come into their company and train, how would they reach you?
The best way to right now, because I like to have the personal touch. I know everyone likes to give a website, give a little website. You know what? If you're listening to this, get a pen and paper out and just write this down. Call me. I want you to just call me. My number is 949-933-6618. 949-933-6618. I know everyone thinks I'm crazy to do that, but I've had some real success and really being able to just really within the first few minutes, really see if you're serious, and also connect, because having me come to your company is really all about connection. And I really want to really see if I can even help you. But the best way right now is just to get a hold of me. I'm not traveling yet. I know, because I'm really focused on still raising my kids, right? So I'm very, very selective. I more often don't take speaking engagements. I don't take clients on anymore because I want to make sure, because if I say yes to that, I got to say no to something in my kids' lives.
Well, you're taking one investment out of one area. And so right now, your priority investment is your kids.
My kids.
And as soon as your kids are in college, then you reallocate.
You reallocate your time.
You all still have 100%.
Yes.
You got to reallocate.
Yes. So it's going to be awesome. So my next 3 to 4 year plan, as they get older, pretty soon they'll be driving. They won't need me as much. So I'll be able to take maybe 1 or 2 more speaking engagements a month. It'll be really, really nice. As they get in college, then I can travel all the time.
And take December off.
Take December off.
Home, right?
Exactly, yes. I will actually schedule my life when they actually will be home. And the greatest thing is they can travel with me. And the greatest thing is they've actually seen me speak a lot of times to different companies. They've been with me. And that's one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur and controlling your time, because you can bring your kids with you and they can actually see what you do and they see the impact you're making. It really helps them grow to see that, because I want to be my kid's hero. Not some person on a sports team or somebody that we really know their personal life, right? But I want to be their hero, and that's what I always thought I could be, and I'm in it that way. And one thing I just want to make sure when my kids grow up, it was so interesting, Jill. This is such a simple conversation that literally probably designed my life. I was in my office in my financial firm in Cerritos. I was listening to my two agents talk, and one agent was Chris, another agent was Jared. And Chris was complaining about his parents to Jared, complaining about, my parents were never there for me. And Jared said something so transforming to me. He says, you know what? I didn't live that life. My parents were always there for me. Jill, when I heard that, that became the nucleus of my life. All I want to do is make sure when my kids grow up, all I want them to do is say, Daddy was there. So simple, but that has driven me to success, because I am the dad that takes my kids to school. I'm the dad that's at all their games. I'm the dad that picks them up after school. I'm there all the time because my parents were never around. But I had to create a life to be able to do that. I had to choose a career that gave me the opportunity to do that. That simple statement, Jill, from Jared, literally designed my life. It's amazing. Thank God I heard that, because literally I'm telling you, some of the car rides with my daughter alone, just telling me how she's feeling, crying, or when she's happy. Also with my son, those alone times with your kids in the car are magic. Magic. I'm telling you. I'm so blessed to just have those times. It's you and your child. And you can hear their dreams. You can speak into their life. You can know their hurts and their pains. And the one great thing is we've been able to build this trust. And I'm one of those fathers my daughter tells everything to. It's hard, but I'm so fortunate that I am there to listen. And I've actually have done enough work on myself that I'm able to not react. And if I do react, I react in a positive way. And so I'm just very grateful that I've had a lot of mentors, a lot of coaches like yourself to speak into my life to really get to where I am today.
Well, and two, of using that time in the car as investment time.
Yes.
Versus having a radio show on,
yes,
or being on social media.
Yes.
Or probably watching a movie.
Yes.
Right. Using that time as investment time.
It is investment time.
Because what is your investment in a TV show? Like, what's your ROI on a TV show?
Zero.
What's your ROI of listening to talk radio?
Yes.
Like,
unless something's positive, maybe. Yeah. It
unless
depends
it's
what it
positive,
is. Yeah.
and it's something that you can all participate
and learn
in
from
together.
Yeah.
Really looking at where are you investing?
Investing, yes.
And what is that return on investment?
Yes. That's why this next book is going to be so powerful, John. I'm almost done. I've rewritten it 4 or 5 times. My next book, and definitely I would love for you guys to get on the list to get the first copy. It's actually called ROL, Getting the Highest Returns on Life. I have written about the 7 life funds. If you invest in these life funds, not only will you have financial wealth, your heart will be in great shape. Your relationship will be in great shape. Your mind will be in great shape, and your spirit will be in great shape. And what would it be like to have all of it? Because that is a lie that we believe you can't have it all. That is a lie from the pit of hell. You can have it all. You can have an amazing relationship with your spouse, your wife, your girlfriend. If you're not talking to your kids, that can transform and heal. You could have those relationships if you learn how to invest your time in the right sequence. Because yes, you can invest in your business correctly, in your spouse correctly, in your kids correctly, but there's also a sequence you have to do it in. Of course, you have to invest in your faith first, if you're faithful. Then you have to invest in your spouse. That's the next in line. Then if you have 10 kids, you have 10 different funds you got to invest in. Then you invest in your PPC, your purpose, passion, calling. And once you do it in that alignment, it's so much about alignment. Once you're aligned that way, you get everything. But all too often, when I actually had lost my wealth twice, Jill, is when I put my business first. When I put money, chasing money first. feeding my ego first. When I put that first above everything else, I had success, but I was empty inside. That is not success today. True?
True.
Yes.
Well, so I have one final question for you.
Yes.
This is in the spirit of giving back, which I know you love to do.
I love to do.
What guidance would you give entrepreneurs and business professionals that could really help them to fly? This is about giving yourself wings. What is that nugget that you would leave them with?
I'll share a story that actually really helped me catapult to another way of being. Every Thursday, there's a place called Grateful Hearts. What Grateful Hearts does, it's a nonprofit company. What they do, they have a building, and what they do, they take clothes, hand-me-down clothes, they take hand-me-down furniture, but what they do, they go to all the surrounding grocery stores, and if the food is about to expire, the grocery store, they just store it away. What they do, we have 2 trucks, they send these trucks to get all that expiring food, and we actually put that food and the fruits, we put it in bags to give away to people who are going to eat it. And Jill, the reason why I'm telling you that, yes, you can make money and invest in different nonprofits, put your money away, but there's nothing like investing your time into people who are not doing as well as you. Every Thursday, I would volunteer 2-3 hours of my time into this place called Grateful Hearts. It was so amazing. And let me tell you about my day. We go there, and all the people are waiting to get, and for the people there, they can only come there twice a month. And so, but you would see people, grandmas. I met some people that were generals in their military forces in their country. I saw kids. It would break your heart to see the people in there. It makes you angry too. Like, what is going on? Where's this person's family? Here's the greatest thing. People there are so nice. They're so happy just to get this stuff that you don't even want. And the most amazing time is one day I go there and I'm there putting all the food in different bags, the fruits in different bags. And there's a guy working there with me. The first time he was there, his name was John. And he was so happy. The reason why John was there is because after he helps, he also was actually in the other room getting food. But instead of actually just getting it, he wanted to give back. So he came back in the back and volunteered his time. So because anytime he would volunteer and he would bag the groceries, he actually get 1 bag. So it was great. And he was so excited. And he got done telling me, Kalani, I'm so excited. You know what? I just paid off my car. I'm so excited. I have this really nice red truck. And so nothing to it, right? And he's like, oh, hey, John, where do you live? I live in Long Beach. And so that's great. And then 2 weeks later, we became very fast friends. Volunteer every time together. And I was speaking at Toyota Museum here in Torrance, California. I was speaking for a nonprofit company. And right before I went on stage, I invited John to come and hear me speak. And the reason why I had him come speak because there's free food, it's free dinner. And right before I go on stage, he hands me a really torn up white envelope. And he writes a handwritten note. He says, Kalani, I want to wish you happy birthday. It was my birthday. And I want to wish you happy birthday from a really awesome brother. He puts a $5 bill in the envelope. See, what I didn't tell you guys, he's actually homeless. He was living in his car. And I about to broke down and start crying because he's probably giving me his last $5. And my gosh, like I'm thinking about crying, I want to cry right now. To me, he's the wealthiest man in the world because he never was sad. He was so grateful for what he had. And man, I'm telling you guys, if you're listening, if you're an entrepreneur, please, as you become successful, don't wait to volunteer your time. Don't wait to do good things when you get there. Do it while you're on the journey because I guarantee you that will catapult your success. The more you give in other people's lives, you will get such a high rate of return in your own life. It will make you super, super successful. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Kalani. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show today. With that, go out and fly and give your business wings.
Amen.
A big thank you to this episode's sponsor, Beyond Logic Coaching and Consulting. Be sure to get your free gift at livingbeyondlogic.com.
Join our fly. Stay informed of all things Time to Fly by subscribing to our newsletter at timetoflypodcast.com. And be sure to tune in to our next show.